Hey everybody, I'm now officially live on episode 100 of the Paper Robots podcast, and I have never done live video, so we're going to see how I crash and burn, and you get to witness me doing that live. The first tradition of episode 100 is bringing back alcoholic beverages while I talk to myself alone. You guys are more than welcome to chime in with all of your questions, and I'm going to try to read and talk and record at the same time. Oh my gosh. Everyone's joining, and I'm like now caught up listening. Thanks for the heart already. Yay. Thanks, Bandrew. Just shout out to Bandrew for taking the time to come onto the internet and not be hiding in a den under a rock in some random location across the nation. Oh, hey, thanks everyone. Jeff, how's it going, guys? This is episode 100 of the Paper Robots, and you finally get to see my beard in full audio. That's what I'm calling it, at least. Is it weird if I watch myself answer this? Or do I get stuck in a loop if I do that? What's up, Michael? Getting a thumbs up, so that's good. I'm just excited that after like 2 years, I hit 100 episodes of podcasting, and people still want to join and see my face live after talking for hours at end. Oh, someone's super proud of me. That's really nice. Thank you, Cynthia, for being proud of me. I'm proud that I got to 100. Now, if I get to live to 100, that's the next thing. It's episode 100, and then it's living to 100 years old. I have a few things I am going to get to on this episode, like announce winners of a giveaway I was doing for the past month on my comic, and talk about things from the past of the show and where I see the show going and where I see my creative career going, and just everything, I guess. Oh, cool. I also have realized that my forehead and the white walls are about the same, so the white balance on this is like crazy. If I move it all, it's like just a shine of... They actually use my face for white balancing in Hollywood. Fun fact. But yeah, I'm going to talk about the show, and I'm using a microphone because I'm recording this also to release as a normal episode in case people don't join the live stream. They can still hear it in their ear holes while they travel around the world, or in your car, bike, like I do when I listen to podcasts. Let's see. Let's see what we got going on. I was trying to figure out a way to do the theme song for the show, like actually play it, but I'm not that tech savvy, and I was like, I'll just throw this together and we'll figure it out together. But I can't do that, so instead I will sing it. So, all right, so I'll start the episode. Hey, everybody, this is episode 100 of the Paper Robots podcast. I'm your host, Logan, and on this episode, it's me. And then I'll go with the theme song. I already lost the rhythm and tune, so now you know I don't know how I played bass and how I have rhythm, but can't sing my own theme song after 100 episodes. Let's see. Oh, what's that? What's that? Is that Robin in the background? Yes, it is, because that's my favorite sidekick, and probably the best in the DC universe, and I will fight anyone who disagrees with Tim Drake being the best Robin. That's my gauntlet being thrown down. Beginning of the episode, Tim Drake, best Robin. I spit like hot fire, okay? If you disagree, I want to hear counterpoints, and also I don't care because you're wrong. Oh, something I want to talk about, I think, is like episode 100 is being inspired. Oh, see, no, Team Grayson. Dick Grayson is not the best Robin. He is a great Nightwing, one of the best. Counterpoint, you smell, Jorge. You shut up, okay? Uh, Team Damien. Now you're just being dumb. Don't. Sorry, I'm reading comments. Team Damien is not a real thing because everyone knows that is the worst That is the worst Robin, the son of Batman. But if you disagree with me, I am open to hear why you're wrong. Okay, so back on topic. Team Damien all the way. Boo. After 100 episodes, it's like, why did I do a podcast? Because I like talking, and we're fighting now. Cynthia and I are fighting, apparently. I started this podcast because I like talking, and a lot of people told me I like talking, and that was good enough reason for me. But also, I like talking to creators, and I was starting a comic book, and I was like just starting my adventures into creating comics, as well as like wanting to do this interview show that would kind of document my times in podcasting and in the comics world all at the same point. And then the show just kept changing, and also a lot of drinking happened like in the early shows, probably 1 through 40. There's a good amount of alcohol happening. And I think my mom just joined the live stream, so now she knows I got drunk and recorded podcasts, but that was gonna come out eventually, I guess. Or if you listen to those old episodes, you can kind of tell. But I was in. Oh, cool! I got the rainbow flag. I didn't even know you could send me that. Thank you, guys. Is that because I have I'm repping Frog, one of the queer characters in my comic book, Beard and Frog. Yeah. Also, I think I owe Bandrew a pin. By the way, I owe him a black metal pin, which you can get when you buy any copy of my comics at a Comic-Con near you. What? I'm back. I dropped Beard and Frog. I just wanted to show this off really quick. But I was inspired by podcast hosts like Chris Hardwick and Kevin Smith, who has like his own podcast channels and a bunch of other shows that he does, because he talks more than me, and I don't ever want to have to like fight him on that. But those two, and then the Rooster Teeth podcast, are all these creative teams of people that inspired me to think that this was a possibility for me to start recording and doing podcasts, and now doing live streams. Yeah, I think I have to shout out to them, because all those are people that also just say, go for your dreams. You got to do what you got to do, and not to stop. And that's kind of the thing I've carried forward in my podcast, is interviewing creators, asking them why they do what they do, and reminding listeners that you have no excuse not to do it, because everyone comes from different. Hey, Robbie. Thanks for the thumbs up, man. Thanks for joining for like this episode 100 of my podcast. Also, episode 1 of a live stream. I have a microphone in my face because I'm recording this for the audio listeners, just in case you can't join me here and now. Send me your questions. I will be trying to be as silly as possible, as well as actually get to the heart of what makes the paper robots. We love you from Tucson. Thank you, Mom. I love you, Mom. This is all possible because of you. Not afraid to admit it. My mom's the best. I will fight you on Tim Drake being the best Robin and my mom being the best. Those two things, undeniable. And yeah. Now I'm off track because I'm just thanking people. Okay, so over the past 100 episodes, What are some of my favorite podcast moments? My mom is the best. I know. Uh, some of my favorite podcast moments are just getting drunk in general on the show and unintentionally, or I should say, drinking on the show and then getting, yes, thank you, Eric Shock, episode 100. Unintentional get like drunk. There's like this bar that happens of like the show starts out good and then it just. Oh, that's a great question, Bandrew. I will get to that in 1 second. So actually, I'm gonna start answering some questions from the live stream. You can send them in via the live stream right now, and I'll answer them. So Bandrew says, how do you navigate the transition of a podcast with a co-host to doing a solo show? Easy, because I avoided doing solo shows for so long. Like I was like, okay. When the show first started, Micah, one of my best friends in the world, he hosted it with me because we were gonna like do this thing together and talk about. We talked about soccer, drinking, making comics, what we're reading, what we love doing, and it was very kind of like pop culture based. And then as the show was evolving, I wanted to get more creators on and really talk to them and kind of do my own Chris Hardwick podcast about interviewing creators, mostly in the comic field, but musicians, comedians, like movie people, directors, artists of all walks of life. And what I did was all I had to do was say, okay, Mike, I can't be on it. I'll just keep having guests so I never have to talk alone. And that's what I did for as long as possible. And then I was like, all right, I can do this talking alone thing. And I cannot. Hey there, guy. Micah just joined. As I was saying, one of my best friends, the original co-host of the show with me. It was tough to transition doing solo shows. Like even this right now is like a little terrifying because I'm used to feeding off the energy of someone else in the room, let alone like Skyping or whatever it may be. So I like can't be alone with my thoughts because I just get too scared and I just start rambling. Or I remember I get dry mouth. Also, I remember just editing the hell out of. I miss you too, Micah. I remember editing the hell out of some solo episodes or just re-recording because I couldn't keep it together. It was that terrifying. Even though I love talking to people, if I was alone, I couldn't do it. So that's how I navigated that. I just avoided it for as long as possible. You can send me your questions in this, and I will read them. You can send them to me on Twitter, and I will never see them. But you can follow me at that Logan, and you can tweet at me, and we'll try to get some stuff answered. All right, Bandrew also asks, thanks, Bandrew, for keeping the show on track. He also asks, who was the worst guest that you've ever had? Call them out. All right, naming names. So I met this guy who also had a podcast when I was first starting out. I think it was called Podcastage, and he asked me to be on his show, and then I asked him to be on my show, and we like decided we would trade, and it'd be great. We both lived in the same town at the time, and oh man, doing his show and then having him on mine was just whew. He went by Bandrew. I cannot. Okay, Cynthia mentioned something about the Illuminagles. There's no such thing as the Illuminagles. That's not a conspiracy or a secret society. Hail Hydra. No, I'm kidding. I would never say that because I love Captain America, the true Captain America. Yeah, I'm not gonna name names on who. Thanks. I love paper robots as well. Like making them out of paper mache, but also my show, if that's what you mean, is thank you. I forgot. Okay, the worst guest. I've had fun experiences with all the guests that I've had on the show. I'm probably the worst guest of the show. Sweet corn or sugar pea? I'm gonna go with sugar peas. I'm not a fan of sweet corn. I want my corn roasted. Thanks. Also, hey Hector, thanks for hopping on the live stream. Lies. No, it's true. I like it's true. Are you talking about nicknames? Because if that's the case, I like being called sweet corn over sugar peas. If that's what you're referring to. If you're talking about the food, totally different answers. Hector was also first starting out on the podcast. The show has evolved to kind of being more serious, or as serious as I can be in a show where I'm talking out loud. When we first started, though, it was more of a roundtable, just farting around, talking about whatever with creators, like creative people, just shooting the shit kind of thing. Sorry for the cuss words, the curses. It's actually what got my show the PG explicit rating, because it goes from anywhere to PG to explicit, just ramps up there. When I first started the show, though, it was definitely Robbie, thanks. I do have a lady in my life, and she's pretty dang awesome. So I think I'm already spoken for, but I appreciate the comments. God, now I'm distracted. The show used to be just this weird thing that was, I had no idea what was happening, and then all of a sudden I just no, it's not awkward. Then all of a sudden I decided, what if I actually took talking to people serious? Chris Conover, hey man, thanks, lulz. This is gonna be great for the audio listeners when they hear it on Thursday, like just all these awkward me reading or awkward silences. I'm gonna have to put a disclaimer that it. Sorry guys, I can hear the outside of my house. We live in a basement, and I can hear there was like a fire truck, and it was the weirdest crying noise. And sorry to go on a tangent for a second. Living in Portland, fire trucks are the least intimidating thing I've ever heard. It's just like wah, wah, and I'm like, I want to be scared of a fire truck barreling down the road to help save people, and instead it sounds like a little crying truck, and then I just laugh, and I'm like, I'm laughing at a potential fire, and that's not good. Change it up, Portland. Calling you out. Oh, hey. All right. So for those listening, Mikey Mike just joined. Longtime listener, one of the true fans of the show, and an amazing, kind person all around. If you can share your projects with this guy, he supports you 100%, and that's kind of a very rare and amazing thing to have. How do you think you've improved over the life of your podcast? What have you learned that has impacted your comic career? Well, shoot, those are some hard-hitting questions, Bandrew. Thank you. I guess I'll start with, I've improved by okay, I also never scripted the shows, and I would never write any outlines. And then as soon as I did a solo show, I realized I needed to come up with material, because most of the creators I talk to, I know their work well enough, or I have enough just questions as like someone who's a colorist. Like Kelly Fitzpatrick was a recent guest on the show. She's amazing, funny, and just like a talent. And so I just had all these questions about, specifically in comics, about what a colorist's job is, because if you just say artist, that's kind of a known thing. You draw or you ink or whatever. So I had so many questions. So doing solo shows taught me to script and like come up with outlines, and then doing better show notes and plugging in things that we're talking about in the show and really linking everything is kind of how I've improved. Yeah, talking to guests about comics, like the comic creators specifically, and non-comic, just hearing how people do what they do, and kind of reminding yourself that there's no excuse for like writer's block. There's no excuse for it. Just having those reminders from other creators who are also actively trying to make it in comics has really made me push myself to do better and stop being like, well, I had a long day on Mondays or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't. The show, I think it gets better over time. It's kind of, if I never started the show, or if I was just always recording and never putting anything out, I wouldn't have feedback. I wouldn't have other people listening to tell me if audio's good or audio's bad. And the same with comics. If you never release the comic, it might continue to grow and be better, or you'll never get it done, and you'll never have like the real world feedback that you kind of need to grow. And so with all those things, I think just doing the thing has helped me so much, and then repetition. So now I'm at episode 100 of this show. Oh my gosh. And it's only gotten better through practice and repetition, and it's doing all these shows that has given me the confidence to do a solo show or to go live for this episode. Yeah. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining. Louise and Adam and Jackie, thank you guys. I'm just talking about how I hit episode 100 of my show, my podcast called Paper Robots. It's on the iTunes. Later on the show, so stick around, because later on I am announcing the winners of a raffle I was doing for the past month on the Paper Robots, where I'm giving away a few issues of my comics to a few people that are out in the world that replied to the Twitters. Oh, thanks, Adam. Thanks for the congratulations. Drink a glass of cider for your boys. You mean like this? We miss you guys too. This is ginger ale and whiskey, just by the way, in a Wolverine cup. So, Mikey Mike, how was the move to Portland improved your career? Oh my gosh, yeah. I just have dinner with Brian Michael Bendis, and yeah, I'm actually getting lunch tomorrow with Stanley's friends, cousins, brothers, sisters, daughters, friends on Facebook. Dog. No, moving to Portland was like a step I wanted to just do in my life, and in this career. Comics is like, it's like moving to Hollywood to be an actor. It doesn't mean you're going to be an actor just because you move to Hollywood, or that you are necessarily any better off. It's just being surrounded by like-minded people, and hopefully kind of being in the realm of creative, like, juices, I should say. It's been fascinating. I've gotten to go to a lot of comic meetups, and the podcast has improved because I've been able to talk to more people, because they literally live here, and I can be like, hey, you want to come over to the Hobbit hole that is my basement apartment? And yeah, I think the move was hard at first, though, because readjusting, and that almost like threw off my timeline of working on comics and doing the grind of creating stuff. And then it was like feeling comfortable once again. So that has kind of delayed things, and now I'm back on track. And I think that's what's made me better, is like being here surrounded by creative people, and in a cult, like, there's events that have comics in them all the time. So it's just about finding that stuff out, working in it, and being happy about it. Okay. I kind of want to talk about a few of my favorite moments from the podcast over the past 100 episodes. Something that happened was when I first started with Micah, we had a segment called Soccer Corner. I don't know what it was. It was called like Soccer Talk. And we would talk about soccer, and because him and I were getting into football or soccer. And that quickly went away because I'm bad at following sports. I'm way better at learning stats of characters than sports. So it was something that was like, and I don't know how much the listeners cared about hearing about soccer. But kind of a natural progression in the show was a segment called Podcast Questions, which Malcolm ended up saying, and then we dubbed it and made a little little sound with air horns, and I wish I could like cue it up right now, but I was like, bow, 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 podcast questions. And that segment I think really helped drive me to ask more creators random stuff and put myself out there with weird random questions and get more interaction from listeners because they could send in their questions to me and I could answer whatever silly stuff came that way. And that kind of progressed into a new thing that I have podcast questions as an entire episode focused on a theme. But it originally just started as, hey, send in random questions and I'm going to ask them with no direct narrative for these questions. So they're going to be all over the place. And then that changed and focused onto how can I use some of these questions as a theme and then get more questions focused on a specific theme for an entire episode. So I'd say the format has changed. My comfort level has changed. I feel better about solo episodes, about talking out loud. But even now, like this is more comfortable than I would be if I wasn't doing a live stream because I would be talking alone in a room where I know I'm not getting any feedback. This has the potential for someone like Abby to throw a question in or Danny to say something like, how many woodchuck chucks could you chuck a wood with? You could ask me that and I might answer. Or we could talk about the merits of Tim Drake not getting off that topic. That's called a callback. When you call back a thing earlier mentioned on the show. Okay. I have notes and I'm reading them. When is the next Beard and Frog coming? Well, my friend and artist of said book being mentioned, Hector, the artist on Beard and Frog, asked, when can we expect to see Beard and Frog issue 3, etc., to the end of the series? And for that, I will announce it here that Rose City Comic Con is in September, Tucson Comic Con is in November, and we should have issue 3 of the podcast. Oh my gosh, now I'm all mixed up. Issue 3 of the oh my god, no one. Yes, more chicken stuff is coming, Cynthia. Issue 3 will be out for Rose City, and then also following that, it'll be out at Tucson Comic Con in November. So September for sure, if not sooner. But as long as the artist can crank out the pages, I can have it out sooner. If I can write as fast as he can art, I guess. And yes, spoilers. Chicken from issue 2. Hold on one second, guys. Chicken from issue 2, featured here on the cover, will be returning in later issues of Beard and Frog. Yeah, I'm super excited about Beard and Frog. It's my little baby about a humanoid frog, alien chicken, cherry. Yes, Cynthia. What? Yeah, Hector, chicken's coming back. Just you wait. Hey, Chris. Hey, Kira. Grandpa Jerry. He just joined my live stream. That's pretty cool. I'm glad I have a grandpa that can do that. That is like, I have a grandpa that I write letters because that's the farthest technology has hit him. And then I have my grandpa who likes stuff on Facebook and sends emojis. And that's amazing. How do you go about getting creators on the podcast? Do you just shoot them emails or tweets, or do you talk to them in person? If so, how do you meet them? Great question, Bandrew. And the answer is all of those things. I have emailed certain creators that I have met either at a convention and talked to very briefly, Facebook message or Twitter, or if you meet them in person, I have actually asked, what is the best way to contact you? Some people don't do email. Some people have like Facebook is only private, Instagram's just private for family, whatever it is. So if you meet someone in person and you want to continue talking to them, either grab their card because that will have their contact info on it. And I feel like anything you put on your business card is something you check regularly. Hey, Grandpa. Um, but if you're just trying to reach out to someone, I probably go to their website and see what they use the most, or if you follow them regularly on Twitter. I've used Twitter a lot to direct message someone and just reach out to them and be like, hey, I'd love to Skype you or meet in person and record the show. I like your work, blah, blah, blah. But I will say, I think a lot of it has come from meeting people at conventions, and now moving into Portland, meeting people at creator meetups that just happen here. All those things have helped me just talk to them, and I've straight up said, hey, I'd love to have you on the show. What is the best way to contact you? And then I literally, like, I'll write it down so I remember, contact them via Twitter, contact them via Instagram, whatever it is. Oh, man. Aside from all the weird butt stuff that happens with aliens in Portland, no, not really. Do I believe I've had any paranormal experiences, i.e. ghosts, aliens, etc.? The answer... yeah, the answer is no, and I hope I never do. Cynthia knows all too well that I'm not a fan of scary movies because 2 reasons. Bad storytelling happens too often, and also they kind of scare me, and I don't want to be scared. I heard that fidget spinners and all those things like can bring out the kukui, which is like the Spanish boogeyman, and now every time I see a fidget spinner, I do a little one of these prayers, one of those, and I also run. I run from them. So I've had it's true, Cynthia. No, don't tell them it's true. Scary movies just seem like research to prepare you for the real thing. Yeah, maybe. Okay. All right, Mike, you offered a fair point. Maybe I should be watching scary movies so that in real life I know how to defeat them. A la, what's it called? It. Now I know that if I just stop being afraid of it, it won't get me. I can't remember how you defeat the clown, but yeah. Oh, like yes. Bruce Willis as a ghost in The Sixth Sense. Or aliens are afraid of water. Holy water, though, I guess. So maybe they were demons. What? That's a fan theory. Throwing it out there that I've heard. Let me see what else I have on my notes for all of you. Hi, Hannah and Cynthia and David. Hi, Logan. He says, what about scary video games like... Oh, okay. So scary video games I think are way more fascinating, but they terrify me more than movies because you have to actively like move your character into the fear. Like you have to be like, yes. I liked the first Fear game. I never played Evil Within, but I loved Resident Evil. I think there's something more like, okay, I'm gonna defeat this. Like I'm the character instead of watching the character on screen make dumb decisions. I'm gonna be the character that makes dumb decisions, and that's what's helped me. You'll see dead people soon. Or oh my God, Cynthia, why would you say that? I'm so scared now. No, don't do that. Don't scare me. If this door opens behind me, I will squeal and run because now I'm afraid the boogeyman's on the other side of that door. Thanks, Cynthia. Scary video games I'm more down with than scary movies. What about scary dancing or scary role play? Scary dancing. Me dancing is always scary. Dad joke. Or scary role play. I don't know what you're talking about. At all. You can't beat the Mexican boogeyman. I see. That's what scares me is the kukui. It scares me. If you could give a new podcaster one, thank you for getting me off the scary stuff so I can sleep tonight. If you could give one podcaster a piece of advice for starting, what would it be? Okay. Hey, listeners, if you're trying to start a podcast because you're like, look at this guy, he can do it. I could definitely record and do it. My first piece of advice is, yeah, do it. Just do it. No, actually, I would say not to like shout out directly to Bandrew, but go to the internet and look up some stuff. What's important before you buy equipment or do any podcast stuff? Hey, cat. I would say come up with a show or whatever you want to podcast about. Podcast without pants. You can't see the bottom half of this video because I'm podcasting without pants. No, roller podcaster. Oh, sure. I thought, okay, I'm getting sidetracked. All right. I'm going to give this piece of advice for podcasters because this is actually a real thing, and then I'm going to answer this next thing. Come up with your show and come up with the voice of your show before you just say, I'm going to record a thing and it's going to be about pop culture, because there is 6 billion websites about pop culture and 11,759 minutes. No, there's a lot of podcasts about pop culture. So it's like, okay, what's your voice in that theme? Come up with that and then go to Podcastage on YouTube or geeksrising.com and check out podcast equipment specifically geared to starting a podcast and tips and tricks. What I did is I knew I needed a device to record, which I bought a Zoom H4n to start. And I knew I needed a microphone and a memory card. I knew that much to start. After that, I Googled it and I just looked. And then Bandrew started a YouTube mic review show and tips and tricks show called Podcastage that helps better direct you and answers questions about podcasting specifically. Because I'm just pissing in the wind. I don't know. Trying to figure this out. Cynthia says, Roller Podcaster, could we do a podcast about Roller Coaster Tycoon? Yes, but I think there's a better name, because when I hear Roller Podcaster, I think podcasting while on roller skates. It just wherever you are on rollerblades is like the podcast, and each week you rollerblade to, like, with a guest, you're rollerblading around. It's like Jerry Seinfeld's Getting Coffee in Cars with Famous People, or whatever his show's called. But ours would be like getting beer on rollerblades with weird people from Portland. That's the podcast. Roller Coaster Tycoon, I'll be the co-host. All right, fine. You and Cynthia can start that. Will we see some evolution of the pod in the next 100 new segments? Sing-along special? Yeah, I don't know how you do an audio pre-recorded sing-along special, but I would love to have a musical. I mean, look at the greats. Scrubs did it. Flash did it. They did a whole show about it. Community did it. Beard and Frog might do it. Who knows? I sing randomly all the time, so I'm gonna new segment. What's this taste like? Oh no, nope, not doing that new segment. From the next 100 episodes, you can expect more live video things like this. You can also expect new segments like podcast questions is this kind of evolving segment that I love doing. But I want to do more video. I think I've been saying that for 50 episodes, but I do. 100 was the commitment to introducing video to the paper robots. There's tons of stuff down the pipeline of like getting creators and talking to them and being weird and introducing different random conversations and themes and podcast questions and recording with my shirt off. Just beard noises for a whole episode. It's just beard on mic sound, beard on table sound, just beard sounds. We're doing a whole episode of beard sounds. Beard on frog, where it's me with my comic reading it to a frog, And then the frog is also drinking. So beard and frog on frogs on beards. Working on that. That's a new segment coming in the next 100 episodes. Sure, I'll do it. What are the crazy questions you got? Beard on beard. That's where I Velcro my beard to a gentleman's beard next to me. And then we just talk about how it feels for 67 minutes. What hit me with some other weird questions, guys, while I look up some stuff to say. And stick around for the announcing of the winners of the Cynthia, you are too excited about Beard on Beard. I guess I should talk about other projects I have as a comic book creator, such as working with a friend, Tanya Verdugo. She worked on a comic with me called Day 26. We are working on a full-length comic. What's your favorite candy? Reese's. Peanut butter and chocolate in a cup in my mouth. That's my favorite. What do you think is the best way to utilize social media to grow your podcast? Reaching 100 episodes and doing a live podcast is the best way. It's the definitive way to grow your show. You just see what the trick is. You get famous other way, and then you do the show. Do you have any Logan toys or Gene? By Logan toys, do you mean that Logan toy? You can follow at that Logan. Or this Logan toy. Or are you asking if Cynthia is going to make a toy of Logan? To which I would hope yes, one day maybe. We do have a Beard and Frog themed toy coming in the works. What Comic-Cons do you want to visit? I want to visit all the Comic-Cons. Any Comic-Con that is happening that I can go to, that I would enjoy and can afford, I want to go to. How about a segment called Pranking Cynthia? Well, now you ruined the segment because she might be watching and might know about the weird pranks we're going to do. So, yeah, I'm totally not going to do a new segment where I'm pranking Cynthia. Pranking Cynthia is just living with her. It's just my life. But I guess I'll record it. It'll be weird because you'll just be hearing audio of like me shuffling around and then her maybe getting scared or mad. And then her pranking me back where she pretends to be the kukui and then I'm scared out of my wits. Building on Hector's question, what have you learned from the last year of doing cons? Okay, good question. So first, what cons do I want to visit? I would love to do New York Comic Con or MoCA, Small Press Expo, Dink. This new convention just started this year called 5 Points in New York. It's like food, beer themed with music and comics and toys. And like and I heard like designer toys were really a big thing there, and I think that'd be really fun to be a part of. Small Press Expo is probably the highest on my list to be a part of. Yes, I did. I did prank Cynthia by saying Tom Hanks is hot. I don't know if you've seen his movies, but he is hot, guys. Let's all keep pranking Cynthia and say Tom Hanks is hot. What have I learned from cons? All right, so I've been to Tucson. I've tabled, which is where you sell your things at the con versus being an attendee where you just visit like a guest of the show. I've attended Tucson Con, done that now. I've tabled there. Phoenix I've tabled. I tabled at Wizard, was it Wizard or whatever with Hector. I haven't tabled at Rose City or anything, but what I've learned is how like I need to be more willing to just say, "Hey, come look at my book," and not afraid to like kind of sell it instead of like sitting back and be like, I'm going to wait for somebody to love my comic just purely by looking at me. Which I do sit at the table like this all the time, just like. But it's about selling the book at Wizard. It was Wizard World. Um, I've learned a lot about just you can't be afraid to talk to people about your book, about your creation, and I don't know if you guys can tell in this live stream the weird white balance that happens if I move my head even slightly because I'm that white. Stephen Burt just joined. I haven't talked to this guy in a minute. Hello, Steve. Listeners of the show, you're missing out on all these me reading names. Or signings. I did a book release at a Heroes and Villains comic shop in Tucson, and that was amazing. I think that might be one of the coolest things is doing like book signings or a book release event in a comic shop because your market's already there. Where's your bow tie? Oh, shoot. Mikey called me out. Called me out on not having a bow tie. I don't have a bow tie, but I am wearing a beard and frog button right here. It's a pink one. So there's that. Tommy, I'm going to shout out him. He just joined the live stream. And I have to say very quickly, he's been a huge part of me in the comics world. He's helped me letter and edit my books and supported me and been a champion of me. And I have to do something and say thank you so much. Thanks for being there for me, man. You're genuine and great. Oh my God, OB is on this. He better say something in the live stream because I'm really happy to. I'm glad to see you guys joining this and saying hi. How do you maintain a full luscious eyelashes? What is your maintenance routine? Oh my God. Thank you so much. I don't do anything. I was just born with this. Or maybe it's Maybelline. No, I was born with it. I hurt you, Tommy. Cynthia used to get mad at me because I called him Thomas because that's his name, even though he is known as Tommy. How much wood could a woodchuck if a Chuck Bandrew finds out that they're aliens? Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't think Bandrew would find out that they're aliens because he's in a bunker somewhere in the world that has really good internet that is like a dispersed IP address. And if he ever finds that out, he'll just be like, he'll keep it to himself and disappear without a trace and let us all fend off the woodchuck aliens. Also, that should be a whole episode on X-Files season 11 is the woodchuck aliens. Support any good Kickstarter recently? Yeah, there's tons of books on Kickstarter. One I would say is The Absurdly Normal Life of Lawrence Hadley. I believe I'm getting that right, which is a book by Thomas Keith, and it's live on Kickstarter, and there's I think like 10 or 11 or 12 days left as of this recording. And it's almost funded. It's like almost there. So just throw some money at him to get that book funded because he has helped me, not financially necessarily, but he has helped me get my book out there and I am forever grateful. If Logan doesn't bow tie, does he even hey everybody? Ow, shot fired. I wish I had a bow tie just like in off camera. Like I could just, this is why I need a intern. I should get an intern. Next 100 episodes, how am I changing it up? I'm getting an intern that just gets me bow ties. And then I'll do way more videos and I'll just be like, intern. So if you want to learn about podcasting, you're in the greater Portland area, and you want to be an intern, which requires you to get me beard oils and bow ties. Also a new segment, beard oil and bow tie. Also, it's a club here. Also, it's a band that plays at that club here. Beard oil and bow ties. Just throwing that out there. I do hey everybody. Hey everybody. Hey everybody. This is episode 100 of the Paper Robots podcast. I'm your host, Logan Noggle, and on this episode, I raise my eyebrows. Favorite podcast moments. Earlier, someone asked who was my least favorite guest. I can't say I have one. They're all great because humans are good people and great things. One of my favorite was, I have to say, Cena Grace. Talking to him, it was such a weird situation. I asked him to record at the convention in Tucson. He said yes, so then I scrambled to set up a time. My then friend, Cynthia, said, Ross. Ross has been a huge... he's always fun on the show. But yeah, I went over to Cynthia's place to record with this guy that I just thought was really cool and I thought it'd be amazing to talk to. And it was a blast. It was a weird situation and it was amazing and fun, and I'd love to have him back on the show. Palentine's Day. I think it was the third episode of the entire show. It was with Micah still co-hosting, and Malcolm came on. And it was Valentine's themed, so it was we talked about our favorite comic book crushes and our favorite things that we love in comics, or romantic scenes and blah blah blah. And that was really fun. Ross, Hector, Jen, having them on in those early episodes helped me have so much random fun and weird things like dope tears is a thing that happened because of that. Weird theme songs. What is your favorite DC comic? Right now I'm not reading DC or Marvel, my bad. But my favorite, I would like to say it's Robin Year One or something, but Animal Man's amazing. Probably Batman, just Batman comics. Rainbow Toots was a great theme that happened. Wait, I'm going to look at my comics really quick. This is going to make great audio and video. Just look at my beard while I look at comics. I don't know. Animal Man was amazing. Batwoman. Anything the Scott Snyder, Grant Morrison era of Batman is probably my favorite, though. What's on your pull list lately? I don't currently have a pull list for comics. Just I'm buying them in trades. I did get After Death, the Scott Snyder, Jeff Lemire book as it came out. Cena Grace writing Iceman. Got issue 1 of that. Girl Scouts by Jim Mafu. Oh God, God Country. I think that's what it's called. It's this weird old man with Alzheimer's gets a sword that's like a god, and it cures him and makes him fight and do awesome stuff. So that's a cool book. I am so far behind on a favorite of mine, which is Lumberjanes. That I'd love to catch up on. I think that would be amazing. Best current media out there to consume. Oh man, all right. This isn't the best, but guilty pleasure is Flash and Arrow. So I've been watching that. I wish I was watching the new Twin Peaks, but I did not watch that. So bit behind. I liked Masters of None season 2 a lot. Oh man, I wish I should have been better at having my pop culture media on a list, or if I wrote notes for the show or something, might have been helpful. Hey Diego, thanks for joining, man. Good seeing you. Let's go, Logan. Go Arsenal. Yes, that's right. Okay, see, this is why I might bring Soccer Talk back on the podcast, because Arsenal, or Gooners, as we're called. Also, Rose City, got to shout out to them, the Timbers. I'm drinking some ginger ale and whiskey to help calm the nerves of doing episode 100 of the show. Oh, another favorite moment of the podcast was episode 69, comic book sex questions, because that helped pave the way to more podcast questions and doing themed episodes like that. just talking about comics and things that like need to be improved, or a specific part of a comic is really fascinating. I think breaking down comics, like I would love to do a whole show on just like different the layouts of comics, but I don't know how as audio how great that's going to be, but I would love to do something like that. I love talking about comics and all the things that go behind the scenes of it. It's like watching a documentary or watching behind the scenes clips of movies. That's what I love about comics, is like learning the behind the scenes stuff just as much as I love reading amazing stories. How's everyone doing out there? Are we doing good? Listeners, when you listen to this, how are you guys doing? You can tweet at that Logan, and I will respond in a timely fashion. I'm actually gonna hop on Twitter and see if we have anybody hopping on. What is your most commented on episode? Oh man, one of my most downloaded would be comic book sex questions. Also, I put Bernie Sanders' name in one of the episodes one time, and I got really bad hate on it because someone's like, "This has nothing to do with politics. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "You didn't read the description of the show, like of my podcast or the specific show, because you would know that this has nothing to do with Bernie Sanders." But that was really cool to get really bad negative feedback about politics, because I just don't care. I didn't care that my show was named. It was like Race to Bernie Mountain, which is burn, or I don't know, something crazy, and I got dumb feedback. I try to get all the comments before so I can talk about them on the show. I had Phoenix Alexander, a musician here I met and friend. He was on, and a lot of people kind of engaged with that show a lot too, because it was like he shared it with people that aren't in my same circles and like in the music area. So, and he told me that someone's actually like writing a thesis about a theme he talked about on the show. How do you handle with online hate and trolls? Okay, how do I handle online hate and trolls? I don't have no. Who's hating on me? No, I don't have haters. Although when I did start the Paper Robots as a blog before the podcast, I did have someone trolling me, which I think was an ex roommate. This is not confirmed, but they basically trolled me on Reddit and like made me come off like a DB douchebag. And that was kind of terrible. But now actually, if someone spits venom at me or hate or tries to troll me, I do have a list of links to charitable causes and positive outreach things that they could be a part of. If they think if I'm wasting their time, I can redirect them to some more positive things that are maybe more constructive for the world, and then they don't have to hear me. They can be out there donating their money to people in need or to resource centers or volunteering their time. So that's what I mean, luckily, I guess maybe I'm that bad at social media that no one comments negatively. Like I'm just not getting enough feedback to have the haters, perhaps. And so when maybe when someone's like, Beard and Frog is a hot mess, I can be like, okay. But I guess as much as it would hurt, I would just be like, cool. Do you know how many other books there are you can like read? That if you're gonna hate on my book, dude, let me throw you some other things to read, because I think there's enough out there to don't waste your time hating on me, you know. So I have a list in my notes with links to positive outreach things for people that want to hate on me, because I'm like, okay, here's a better way to waste your time then, is like go do something positive if I'm being so negative and terrible. And I guess if you do get a lot of hate, if it's constructive, maybe look at it. If everyone says like grow your beard double long, maybe I'll be like, maybe I should. Do you have any anime you would say read or watch? Cowboy Bebop is amazing. It's like, Akira. I watched that. I still don't know who Akira is, but one day after I watch that movie like 100 more times, I'm gonna figure out if Akira is even a thing. I'm still confused by it. No, that movie's gorgeous though, and I love it. And Cowboy Bebop has this amazing score and soundtrack, and it's like a whole part of the show is like the score, and I think that's fascinating to have these jazz songs and beats, and making a show that is paced to match the sound like that is kind of awesome. Samurai Champloo. That's a tongue twister. I love that show. I also listen to like lo-fi hip hop mixes inspired by Samurai Champloo when I'm writing. That's how much I like the kind of vibe of that show and of that hip hop stuff. Hello, Mike. Thanks for joining the live stream. You can send me any comments you have, or any advice you wanna give me, or you want me to give you about about having Robin toys, or how Tim Drake is the best Robin. We can talk about that still. That is still on the table for discussion. We are coming up on an hour. I could keep doing the show for like at least 3 more days live, and then I would probably need more tacos and alcohol. But I do want to announce the winners of the raffle I was doing for the past month leading up to episode 100. So I'm going to do that right here live. I have it written down. So the first winner gets a copy of Beard and Frog #1, and that goes out to Tonio. He's a friend of Cynthia's and mine now. He participated, and I want to hook him up with a comic. Next winner is Jesus, and he goes by @oil_on_H2O. He's an artist on Instagram, and someone I met here in Portland during a little like street fair thing happening. He also gets a copy of Beard and Frog #1 for free. I'm going to send it to him via probably meeting him in person, so I don't have to pay postage. And lastly, some other person who lives in Portland that I like randomly interacted with, and they actually went on my Twitter and retweeted. They get a copy of Beard and Frog #1, #2, and that is at Nazi Sauce. I think I'm saying that right, Nazi Sauce. So I'm gonna DM her and get that information out there, sending those. Thanks for participating in the raffle for the Beard and Frog comics. If you don't already have it, and Rose City Comic Con is in September in Portland. Tucson Comic Con is in Tucson, Arizona in November, and I will be dropping books there, so you can pick them up there as well as online via thatlogan.bigcartel.com. You can purchase it online, and I'll ship it to you. If you buy issue 1 and 2, you get hooked up with a free Beard and Frog button that looks like that. It's a pixelated frog for the audio listeners. So I'm gonna stick around for a little bit longer and just answer a few more questions and talk, because this has been really fun, and I'm excited to do an extended episode for episode 100. Bow, bow, bow. Do you have any let's see. Tommy says, sorry at work. If you had to recreate one scene from a book, would it be the heartbreaking scene from Old Yeller, Grapes of Wrath, or Mice and Men? Okay. Is it Mice and Men, where they like walk out to the lake and they tell him to look out into the lake, and they like, shoot him. Whatever that scene is, that's what I would recreate. And that's how I want to go out at the ripe age of 97. Oh, in real life. Okay, that was the follow-up, is it's in real life. Yep, that's what I want to happen to me in real life. Yes. Am I right? It's Mice and Men. Cool. I knew it. Nailed it. That's the scene if I had to recreate. If I had to recreate it in a comic, I wouldn't, because that's plagiarism. No, those aren't things I really care to pay homage to. Or maybe I will do it, and maybe I will do it. Maybe I won't. If you have any other questions you want to ask me about the kukui, I can't answer them because I'm terrified of it. And don't bring your fidget spinners near me because it brings out the kukui, which is the Mexican boogeyman. Next bucket list item. Oh, man. Next bucket list item I am working on. Mikey Mike. One day I want to get a face tattoo. No, I don't. I would love to go to Europe. That's what I'm working towards. Is to attend either a con in Europe or go via vacation or become super rich and go there that way. So just kind of going there any way possible, maybe. Bandrew asks, what is your process for writing? Do you start with storyboard, or do you start with outlines, or do you develop it in your head first? All of it. Most of my stories have all come out of random ideas in my head. Beard and Frog came out of me working in sales and hating sales jobs, just like being on the phone, having to be penny pinching in money. And like, just, it was terrible, and I wanted to escape, and I just like was like, oh, I just want to drink and forget about everything. And then I was like, what if there's this drunk frog who wanted to do that? And I was like, what if the drunk frog was like the Geico Gecko, and what happens if he gets fired, but he's owned by the company, so he can't actually be fired, he just gets, shuffled around and lost, and then but he was in the limelight. And that's Beard and Frog in a nutshell, you guys. It starts in my head. Now, when I go to script it, because I usually I'll think of characters or a scene, and I'll write that out just in words, however I can in my notebook, like scribbles, just character names and ideas, the music I'm listening to keep the like theme and like that moment fresh. But when it actually comes to like making it a comic, I will sit down and I like to panel out, like do page layouts, which is like paneling out the comic to what I think it is, because that's, to me, that's the pacing. But yeah, I think it starts in your head with your character, and then from there, after I think of the characters in these weird scenes, I try to build on that and think like, well, what are they doing in life? What is this thing about the okay, Google fidget spinners and the kukui and how it's a real phenomenon that's happening, and that it's the new bop it. It's a devil's toy. That's what it is, and it brings out demons. Back to comics really quick. Yeah, I like to outline and kind of know a 3-act structure or something, like beginning, middle, end in my head loosely, just like the beats I want to hit, and I outline after I start kind of running with it, because I think I've heard writers that say, especially in comics, like if you're working on it, like let's say you're working on Superman, I look at it and I go, okay, let's just create we're just going to drive Superman into this problem without knowing the answer, because then you're forced to, in your head subconsciously, you're forced to find answers for it. And that's kind of what a lot of creators do, is you think of an idea that you want answered, or a question you have, and you want to answer that. So you start problem solving in the back of your head. So I write down those brief things. Then when it comes time to script, I'm kind of simultaneously scripting and page laying it out so I can pace the issue out itself. Mike says, or all these ideas you do you decide which ones to focus on, internal or external feedback? It's mostly like I'm doing Beard and Frog. I've had other ideas before it, and I really want to get to them, but this book like was such a free expression that I was like, this is what I have to do first. And so I focused on finding an artist to work with on that. Being a writer, I need to find an artist to create the book with me. So some of it is the external thing of, hey, I have all these ideas and stories I want to tell. Who wants to work with me to make that story the best? Because I don't want to just work with someone that might be looking at it simply as a paycheck. I want to work with someone who is gonna at least enjoy or like has some sort of connection to the book, whether it's just like this would be fun because I've never tried it, or they really are invested in it. I think I like working in that kind of atmosphere. And one day maybe I'll just hire an artist just to get a book out there. But that's what I originally look for. And then I kind of go from there. I'm like, hey, I here's a shotgun of ideas. Whatever one you're gravitating towards too, I can focus on it also. And then it's just about refining and distilling that into something amazing. Fear of fidget spinners, Illuminago's conspiracy. Who knows? How much does the artist impact the story, if at all? Dude, nope. I'm such a writer that it's 110% my story. No, it impacts it like once again. I'm using Beard and Frog because that's my current book, and I'm working on it actively. Hector reads manga and anime, and I think the characters are a little kind of out there, and that kind of style I think is a fun way to do expressions and be really cartoony and expressive while also telling parts that are in an office. So looking at doing manga styled panels, like angular panel cuts and stuff, was influenced directly because I knew Hector likes that stuff. I think the artist, if it's my idea, like if I'm coming to the artist and I'm like, this is 100% my idea, then I'll kind of want to like I hold it a little closer to the chest. But if it's something that I'm in development with and I just kind of want to like make it 100% like a 50-50 collaboration, the artist has so much say because, and I'll redact words and sentences if it's expressed on the page through the character. If the artist is doing that and I don't need dialogue, cool. I'm totally fine with taking out my dialogue and just letting the book breathe and speak for itself. And I think that's the funnest part about collaborating with people. It's the funnest part about making comics because it is this you're reading the book, but you're also looking at the story, and it's like it's in music. There's lyrics, there's all the different instruments, and they're all coming together to tell this story, and that's how it should be. Like if you're doing a collaborative project, you should 100% be impacted by who you're collaborating with. And if it's in a negative way, then maybe stop collaborating with them. If it's in a positive way, then keep rolling with that and feeding off that. Yeah. Do the Illuminagos have a secret handshake? No. You guys, Illuminagos isn't real. I hope it's a theme song. It's there's no Illuminagos. Maybe there's Illuminagos. Guys, they're onto us. The Illuminagos are onto us. No, I don't know if there's Illuminagos. Who knows? I can't confirm or deny that there is a secret society of Illuminagos. Next question. Oh, so okay, this is just something I wanted to talk about on the show, and I'm gonna stay till like an hour and a half, so we have till 8:30. Then I gotta get my butt to bed. No, I need to eat food or something. In the summer, I get really inspired by music, and I've noticed this over the years that in the summer, I have certain music I listen to, and I noticed it by it coming on in shuffle and being like, oh my god, this is my summer songs. So I was just wanting to share that with you guys because I'm always fascinated by what other people listen to and what makes your heart song happen. So some of my summertime music is Desaparecidos, which is a Conor Oberst band. It's like punk and grungy, and it's angry and it's awesome. And I listened to it in the summer years ago. And I was like walking around my house, and then I was like riding my bike, and for me, it's now tied to that memory. Also, Girls is kind of surfer music, like very surfer, like coast, like chill vibe stuff. Surfer Blood, the band, I love listening to in the summer. Mystic Valley Band, another Conor Oberst project, or just all Conor Oberst all the time. But the summer, I really like listening to those two groups of bands of his. Also, I would say Chapanther, which is like lo-fi garage rock. It's huge into what I've been listening to, and as a part of my storytelling and creative process. Um, yeah, I just wanted to shout out some music that I'm listening to, I guess. Uh, do you use any comic writing software or free write on your own? I always try to write in a book first for two reasons. To me it's faster and it's more fluid and connect. I'm more connected to it. I'm more likely to remember the thing if I handwrite it versus if I type it. Secondly, then when I go to transfer those ideas onto digital, it's a second like chance. It's a free chance to edit the sentences and stuff. So I do that for two reasons, but I just use Word docs. Like I don't use software. I know they have some. They have it for screenwriting in movies, and that's because there's a very specific format. But if you're writing comics, there is no one way to write a script. There's common themes in all the scripts, but there's no one way to do it, and so there's no right or wrong way. So I just free write and figure it out. What's up, Julian? How's it going? Uh, yeah, okay. The handshake is when you scratch the other person's palm in the middle of your finger between. No, I'm just winking a lot on the show. Julian, you're saying hi to Cynthia, and Cynthia's saying hi, and now I'm just reading live. No, I don't have a secret Illuminaggles handshake, guys. Stop it. Maybe I do, and maybe episode 200, I will maybe confirm the allegations of my secret society called the Illuminaggles. Hi, Cynthia. I'm just saying hi now. That what? Thanks for complimenting the beard. I needed that. Audio listeners, thank you for bearing with me talk about my beard on audio. You can hear how good it looks, is what I've been told. New segment. You can hear how good it looks. It's where I describe something that looks good, but doesn't quite capture how good it looks because I'm using words for something visual. So earlier at like minute 2 of this episode, I talked about how I'm working on other projects. So I have Beard and Frog. There's 2 double issues coming out, and then that might be it, you guys. And then I'm gonna collect the thing into a book. I'm also working on a project with Tanya. It has ghosts in it, so that's kind of cool. But they're not scary ghosts, you guys. I would scare myself writing it if I did that. Out of all the non-comic content you consume, what is the most influential on your writing? It's a good question. I would answer that by saying probably music is non-comic content. Like music to me paints such a theme that like it's evocative of imagery for me, or like scenes or moments, and that's really been inspiring for either if I have an idea and then I want to find music to match that theme, or if I'm just listening to music and then it inspires a scene, I guess. Also, I love I love watching documentaries about like life, like beer facts or whales and why they're weird. That should be a documentary that I will start. Whales and why they're weird. Special Halloween issue of Beard and Frog? What? I don't know. Maybe one day. Beard and Frog. They do a Freaky Friday. No, that's when I get the movie deal. It's Beard and Frog. 13 going on 30. Freaky Friday meets Parent Trap. Like, and Chum is the parent or something. And then that's what happens. Like the WWE wrestler said, CM Punk, the beard and the best. CM Punk, fun fact, right, has written a comic. So that's how 6 Degrees of Comics. Oh, yeah, movies. Movies are non-comic material that influence me greatly. I love movies, and they I like watching them. And then if you look at a movie and then you have seen it a bunch, or like kids movies, it's really easy to break down the villain and the characters, and like looking at plot devices and why they're there, and like, oh, that character was written in this scene either just for comic relief or just to bring information to move the story forward, and kind of looking at that and recognizing it, and then being like, oh, that's a trick to use, or that's a bad example of a trick to use for storytelling. I think that's what happens. What's been the most unexpected thing to inspire you? Oh man. Honestly, I don't know. I don't have an answer. My sales job inspiring Beard and Frog is probably the most unexpected thing to happen. I have a Western that I want to write, and that's because I really like Westerns. So that was kind of just something about me consciously thinking about it. Um, yeah, I interacting with humans and then being like, they could all be characters in my books. Is weird that it's like this unexpected way to look at people and be like, this is you're now a character that I'm gonna write, and it's gonna become a cartoon in a book. I don't. Nothing's unexpected for a writer. How about that? Is that a clever answer? Nothing is unexpected. Everything inspires. We're all living stories. Put that on a poster with my face. We're all living stories. That's gonna be the new poster next to the kitten saying "Hang in there." Oh, fake band names. I love doing that. That's the most unexpected thing to inspire me. Is I am inspired by fake band names far too often. Just looking at some notes before I get out of here. I am going to wrap it up. I just want to say thank you so much to all the listeners over these 100 episodes. Thank you for everyone who's been around from one, or if you're just hopping on. I'm getting really sentimental here, but I'm seriously so thankful. I've learned so much from doing this show about myself, about being able to talk to people, everything I've learned from other creators, and how we're all humans trying to tell stories and create and make the best out of bad situations and better situations, like using them for fuel. I think I'm just so happy and lucky that I get to do this show, that I can afford to try to tell stories and work a job and have amazing friendships and relationships. And I think everyone that is on this live stream and that has been a part of listening to the show or a guest on the show, I'm so thankful for the people that inspired me, like Chris Hardwick and Kevin Smith and Rooster Teeth, like all those guys for inspiring me about podcasting. People like Jeff Lemire for inspiring me to do comics. Connor Oberst for inspiring me to do storytelling. My parents for constantly encouraging me, and my mom specifically for like telling me to do my dreams and then being like, "You're crazy, but I love you, and that's amazing that you want to do comics." I wouldn't be here without everyone else in my life. I mean, it's simple, it's cliche, but it's the gosh dang truth. Gee dang it. Thank you for bearing with silly voices and random things and getting drunk and laughing and theme songs and laughing and me not knowing what to do and the show going off the rails and then getting back on the rails. I'm just way too grateful, and I'm getting all sappy and stuff. So I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much. I encourage you to go follow me at that Logan on the Twitter and Instagrams to follow what's happening in my creative life. I do a weird thing, fake band names on Instagram at that Logan. But more importantly, the Paper Robots on iTunes or on the internet, Paper Robots podcast. Thank you, Mikey Mike. Just thank you guys so much. I love you all. And this has been episode 100. Thanks. See you later. Bye. 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 Bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer of Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.